Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the farm. You join me on this beautiful looking October morning. Now, I've done a little thinking since last episode, and I thought it's probably a good idea to get this grass field torn up and planted with some actual field grass rather than just the meadow grass that we have in. That way, it's going to yield a hell of a lot better. So, I've just set up a worker on Courseplay to go around and begin pulling up the field because we need to increase our grass production, mainly for when we get the cows. But I think today's episode, we do have silage to be sold. So if I hop over to our case tractor here, we can see that in the pit, our silage is ready to be sold. What we can do is open up the silo cover. Now, I think this top section has to be opened with a bucket. I think what we can do is head over and grab our trailer. Just sort of shimmy on through here. We can grab our trailer and put our first load of silage in. Okay, over at the main farmyard here, and we can get connected up to our trailer. Should be a nice, easy little reversing operation for myself. The last couple of videos, my reversing has not been great, so I'm working on that. Also realised it was Valentine's Day on Friday, so I hope you guys had a good Valentine's Day. I'm not sure how many people actually embrace or celebrate Valentine's Day. I know a lot of people say it's just a commercial thing, but no, it was a good day, and I hope you guys also had a good day. Now we have 300,000 liters of silage, if I remember correctly. Oh, I just opened up my menu. 300,000. Well, yeah, 306,000 liters of silage. Now we'll have a little look at what prices are like at the moment. Actually, I can check in here. So, not the best price. Wait, 373? That's more than the maximum price. That's amazing. £114,000. And our canola should be ready next month, October, November, December. So sort of in the next couple of months. But we do have £114,000 worth of silage to get sold. Now, I'm really not loving the idea of having to bucket this all in. But I think what I'll do for the first load is bucket it in. Then we can look at potentially renting conveyors and then conveyor it in, because yeah, I don't want to have to load this all by hand. That's even if we can reach. Oh no, I think we can. There we go. Lovely stuff. We are just on the limit of being able to reach, so not super realistic with us crunching the side of the trailer, but this will get us going. Now, I didn't actually check the capacity of our trailer, so it may end up being like 30 or so bucket loads. But if I was to load it by hand for each one, I think this bucket holds 1,000 litres, so 306,000 litres. That's a lot of bucket loads, and I really want to avoid having to do that. So the first load, definitely will bucket it in. Now I am cognizant that I'm paying for a worker to cultivate up our grass field, so we don't want to let the money dip too low. But I also think it would be a good idea for us to rent the conveyor belts so that we can get this loaded up fairly quickly. I mean, in the ideal world, we would have these baled and wrapped into silage, I think. like a large square bale, like a 220 centimeter bale. But that's just not the case for us right now, so we have to suffer through success, I guess. And it's just one of those things. But don't get me wrong, I enjoy the loading like this. But I know in terms of video quality or content, shall I say, it can be a little bit tedious. But we definitely made a little dent in here. I think the physics for particles in FS25 are a lot better as compared to FS22. I don't know if you guys have experienced that too. Now, I know with the rework of the base game engine, that may have brought some of the changes around, and the inclusion of, you know, particle compaction like dirt and silage, straw. It definitely feels a lot better. It's less finicky than it was in FS22. Oh, I'll try not to crash into the side. There. Our front loader is just a little bit too small for this. I think what I want to do is just check and see how much can we get in here. Maybe 18,000 litres? 18 bucket loads. Alright, we'll continue on with this. Hopefully, it take us too much longer. So we have just arrived at the selling point with our first load of silage ready to be sold. It's going to be really good to have some actual money in the bank. Like I say, we can look at getting the conveyor belt system, which will help with the loading. Now, on the way here, it was a little bit of a struggle getting up the hill. Sort of ended up stuck at about 5 miles an hour. There we go, £7,000. So what I'm going to do, head into the shop and lease ourselves the conveyor. Now, I've never actually messed around with the conveyor belt system. This is a bit of a first for myself. But I believe to use this one Or is it this one? We need to have the definitely think it's this one. So we can lease this. And we're going to need this one to sort of preload it. Right. I'll see you guys back over at the farm. Okay, so I did have a bit of a nightmare getting this set up, but I seem to have overcome that now. Now, in the meantime, this field had finished being cultivated, so I have switched over to the case for the drilling, and let's just go around drilling in the grass now. We do have another full trailer load, which can be sold. I wanted the JCB just because I think it has a little bit more power, especially if you're getting up that hill. What we can do is turn around in the cow field. Now again, I'm still really hoping that we can get cows this episode. I forget the turning circle on this is a bit funky with the wind steering. I'm just going to turn that off for now. There we go. Just have front wheel steering. Just sound like jackknife in the tractor. That is a lot of weight to have on here, especially with these medium-sized tractors. I can't see it being too much of an issue until we hit that hill. Or that gate. The steering there was non-existent for a second. I'm not too sure. I think having all this weight behind me is making the tractor a little bit difficult to control. Let's turn on my beacons. Yeah, that front end doesn't feel that responsive. We should make up this hill a little bit easier. I mean, 1 mile an hour better? But it's still a massive struggle getting up this hill. It also looks like this area over here has some lodgepole pining. It might be that we can purchase that later on in the playthrough and get ourselves a sawmill. Because I don't know why, when I play the farming sim games, I spend the majority of my time actually doing forestry work rather than arable farming. But I do like to get back to my roots, so it would be nice to do some forestry. Really hoping that it's not going to be too bad. What I'll do is I'll see you over at the sell point. This is load number 2 of the silage being sold. When we get back to the farm, what I'm going to do is set that up so that the conveyor can continue filling it. And I'm going to get the fertilizer attached to the Massey Ferguson. We can get our field of wheat fertilized. Now, because we have essentially ploughed up the grass field, it's already got an application of fertilizer. So we only need to fertilize the grass field 1 time this season for its first cut, and that will have a full 100% application of fertilizer on it, which should hopefully boost our yields on it. So this year we got 306,000 litres of silage, and with our next cut, I'm hoping to get a decent yield above that. Now, our canola will be ready to be sold, and having looked at our combine harvester, I've realised that the maintenance gauge on it is super low. So we will need to look at investing some of our money into repairing it, as having it down at 19% on the maintenance is really hitting our yield. And I don't want to be losing out on tons of yield, especially when money is a little bit tight at the moment. Fingers crossed we can get down here without railing it into somebody's fence. Definitely a lot easier to control when it's not loaded up with 18 ton of material. Now, I believe our fertilizer spreader is completely empty. So we'll need to run up to the shop and get it filled up. Just cut that corner a little bit. Yeah, now we have the conveyor set up. It should be a simple case of just pulling underneath it. And that will fill us right up. I did have to switch over to having the engines turn on. So I have to manually turn on and off the engines. I also need to turn off my beacon lights on this tractor. There we go. We can jump into Massey Ferguson over here. And we'll keep forgetting about the engine start. I'm going to reverse over to here and get the fertilizer spreader attached. Now it is a solid fertilizer spreader. Unfortunately, we don't have any slurry as of yet, nor do we have a liquid fertilizer spreader. It'd be nice to spray the fields, but that's a little bit out of our price range at the moment. See, what I could do is quickly look and see what is on sale. Now, the Deutzfahr would be nice, but we're not really in need of an additional tractor. More so, slightly larger implements and the cows as well. So that's going to be our primary focus for now, is getting the cows. Because I think once we get some milk going, we can start getting that sold as a steady source of income rather than our sort of 6 monthly income from the fields. And each day, or each time we sleep, we'd at least amass some milk to be sold. We could also look at branching out into getting some greenhouses. There are a few spots of land where we could potentially squeeze them in. And we can use the milk tanker for water for now, rather than having to buy a separate supply or a separate, tanker shift the water around the farm. And greenhouses are fairly cheap, but can get a little bit tedious, although we could set them selling rather than having to keep loading up trailers. But I'm just thinking of ways that we can boost our income so our bank balance isn't constantly almost hitting the negatives. Now I do have a small loan to pay off as well, which I might actually do now. Just while this fills up. Is this going to fill? I don't know why it's being a little bit weird for. Okay, I just had to detach that. I'm not really sure what was going on there. I do not have my front weight attached, so this is going to be a little bit sketchy. That's quite a lot of weight we just put on the back. Actually, I think what I'll do is quickly pop over and grab my front weight. Right, I've just set the worker off over on the field there, getting that fertilizing done. Which means, actually, while we're here, we should look at getting some cows. Now, probably want to start off maybe 6 months, just because we're not going to have the total feed that they need to do the TMR. One second, I just realized the worker is purchasing the fertilizer, which is not what I wanted, as it was just burning for our money there. But I think what we can do is get maybe 20 cows for now. We'll see what we can do. "20 cows should do us fine." There we go. And now, oh my god, we have cows. A little teeny tiny calves. They all seem very happy. That's really good. We finally have the cows. Now, they're not going to start producing milk until they're old enough to do so, and that we're feeding them a decent diet. And now, that is amazing. We finally have the cows. Let's jump out over here. We finally did it. We got cows. Just while we wait for the trailer to fill up again, I'm just going to finish off the fertilizer in this field. Now, we still do have lots of trailers of silage to be sold, which is good because we need the money. But rather than paying a worker to do this task while we wait for the trailer to fill, I thought I might as well jump on and get the fertilizing finished off. Now, we do have some weeds growing in the field which will need to be dealt with. Could look at potentially leasing a sprayer, maybe. I think that might be the best idea, but we'd probably have to go for quite a small sprayer just to get us started. Or we lease it and we can also do some contract works. There's quite a few fields that will need to be sprayed. Yeah, I think that could potentially be a plan. We're sort of at that conundrum of our fields will be done and we don't really have that much left to do on the farm other than a bit of fertilizing and weeding. So we could look at potentially branching out and doing some contracts for a little bit of extra income and to make sure that our machines are being used. Wow, I've definitely burnt through this fertilizer on here. We may even have to go grab another bag. But we could look at doing maybe, I think it's a bit late in the year for baling contracts. But I'm sure there will be plenty of things to get done on the farms. It's just, again, diversifying our income and trying to find the best way to progress the series without it being too repetitive. Now we are really, really low on fertilizer. What I'll just do is have a look and see. Oh, I've definitely missed a few bits. And fertilized somebody else's field. Yeah, we don't own that field. It's strange that we can fertilize onto somebody else's field even though we don't own it. I mean, I thought I'd be able to do this without using GPS and just taking over and sort of doing my own thing, but that has really backfired. Good job on not being judged on my fertilizing performance. I mean, you guys might judge, but that's up to you. But there we go. We are officially out of fertilizer. Shouldn't really be driving through the crop like this. You got the risk of damaging the crop. What I'm going to do is try and get out of the field as quick as possible. There we go. We can head over to the verge of the field. And we'll head over to the shop again. Okay, so I did miss a few bits, but we'll soon fix that now. Didn't take us too long to get this field finished off. Just going to double check on the map which parts I have missed. We'll probably look at reducing the width of our spray down here, just so we're not using as much fertilizer. That stuff is expensive. Okay, that's that bit done there. Oh, jump out. What I'll do is I'll change the width again back to as wide as it can possibly be, which is 42 meters, and we can run up the edge of the field, do this last couple of strips. That's this field done for now. Yeah, we're definitely moving in the right direction. Just notice that the marker is turned on. I'm just going to hide that because I'm not using Courseplay anymore. Now, buying 3 bags of fertilizer has set us back down to 3 grand. But I think what I'm going to do is once I've finished fertilizing this field, is I'm going to do a quick relay of just selling silage. I think the last little bit was just over here that we missed. Yeah. We get it all sold and we'll have a grand total. But fingers crossed by then, our grass field should have been fully sown as well. So, as you can see, we have £87,000 in our bank account. This is the last load of silage to be sold. Now, next month, we do have the canola to be sold as well. But in terms of progress, we've turned around the grass field. We have 20 cows in the cow barn. Our wheat is growing, and we will need to look at starting work on making TMR. But for now, until our wheat is grown, we're not going to have the sort of materials we need to make that. The next cut, I think, will turn into hay. At least then the cows can have that to eat. But with this last load, that brings us to a total of £94,000, which is not too bad at all. But I think for this episode, what we're going to do is leave it here, and I'll see you in the next one.